The house on Elmwood Lane was a relic of another time. It stood at the end of a narrow, overgrown driveway, its once grand facade now crumbling under the weight of neglect. The windows were boarded up, the paint peeled away in long, jagged strips, and the garden was a tangled mess of thorns and weeds. It was the kind of place that made people cross the street to avoid it, a house with a story, and not a happy one. Sarah had always been drawn to places like this. As a freelance graphic designer, she spent most of her days working from home, and she loved the idea of living somewhere with character, even if it was a little rough around the edges. When she saw the listing for the house on Elmwood Lane, she couldn't believe the price. It was a steal, the realtor said, and Sarah didn't ask too many questions. The realtor, a middle-aged woman with a tight smile and a clipboard, met Sarah at the house on a gray, overcast afternoon. "It's been empty for a while," she said, unlocking the front door with a rusty key. "But it's got good bones. Just needs a little love." The interior was dim and dusty, the air thick with the scent of mildew and decay. Sarah stepped inside, her footsteps echoing on the warped wooden floors. The walls were covered in faded floral wallpaper, and the ceilings were high, with intricate crown molding that hinted at the house's former grandeur. "It's perfect," Sarah said, ignoring the faint chill that crept up her spine. The realtor's smile didn't reach her eyes. "I'll have the lease ready by tomorrow." The first night in the house was uneventful. Sarah spent the evening unpacking boxes and arranging her furniture, her laptop playing soft music in the background. But as the hours passed, she began to notice something strange. The house was too quiet. Not just quiet, but silent, the kind of silence that feels heavy, oppressive, like the air itself is holding its breath. She tried to ignore it, telling herself it was just the unfamiliar surroundings. But as she lay in bed that night, she heard it, a faint, almost imperceptible hum, like the distant drone of a refrigerator. It seemed to come from the walls themselves, a low, steady vibration that made her teeth ache. Sarah sat up, her heart pounding. "It's just the pipes," she muttered, trying to convince herself. But the sound didn't stop. If anything, it grew louder, more insistent, until it was all she could hear. She didn't sleep much that night. Over the next few days, the strange occurrences multiplied. Sarah would hear whispers when no one was around, soft, indistinct murmurs that seemed to come from the walls. At first, she told herself it was her imagination, or maybe the wind. But the whispers grew louder, more distinct, until she could almost make out words. "Help us," they seemed to say. "Set us free." Sarah tried to ignore them, throwing herself into her work. But the whispers followed her, creeping into her thoughts when she least expected it. She began to feel like she was being watched, even when she was alone in the house. Then the dreams started. Every night, she'd wake up drenched in sweat, her heart pounding. In her dreams, she was standing in the hallway outside her bedroom, staring at the wall. The wallpaper, a faded floral pattern, would begin to ripple, as if something were pushing against it from the other side. Then, slowly, a face would emerge. It was always the same face, a woman with hollow eyes and a mouth stretched into a silent scream. Sarah tried to rationalize it. Stress, she told herself. The move, the new job, the isolation, it was all getting to her. But deep down, she knew it was more than that. One night, unable to sleep, Sarah decided to investigate. She grabbed a flashlight and began to inspect the walls, running her hands over the cracked plaster. That's when she found it, a loose baseboard in the hallway, barely noticeable unless you were looking for it. Behind the baseboard was a small, hidden compartment. Inside was a stack of yellowed letters, tied together with a frayed ribbon. The handwriting was spidery, almost illegible, but Sarah managed to make out the words. The letters were from a woman named Eleanor, addressed to her husband. They spoke of loneliness, of despair, of a marriage that had become a prison. The final letter was the most chilling. "I can't take it anymore. The walls are closing in on me. I hear them whispering, telling me to do it. They say it's the only way to be free. Forgive me, my love. Forgive me." Sarah's hands trembled as she read the words. She remembered the face in her dreams, the hollow eyes, the silent scream. Was it Eleanor? Had she died in this house? The whispers grew louder that night, almost deafening. Sarah tried to block them out, but they seeped into her mind, filling her thoughts with dark, intrusive ideas. She found herself standing in the hallway, staring at the wall, just like in her dreams. The wallpaper rippled. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as the face began to emerge, first the hollow eyes, then the gaping mouth. But this time, it didn't stop at the wall. The woman's hand reached out, skeletal fingers brushing against Sarah's cheek. "Join us," the whisper said. "Join us." Sarah stumbled back, her heart racing. She grabbed her phone and called the realtor, her voice shaking. "I need to get out of here. Now." The realtor sighed. "I was afraid this might happen. You're not the first, you know. The house, it has a way of getting inside your head. But leaving won't help. Once it has you, it doesn't let go." Sarah hung up, her mind reeling. She packed a bag and fled the house, vowing never to return. But as she drove away, she could still hear the whispers, faint but persistent, echoing in her mind. And when she looked in the rearview mirror, she saw the face in the back seat, hollow eyes, silent scream. A few weeks after Sarah left, a young couple moved in. They were newlyweds, full of hope and excitement for their future. The realtor handed them the keys with the same tight smile she'd given Sarah. "It's a steal," she said. "Just needs a little love." As the couple unpacked their boxes, the husband noticed a loose baseboard in the hallway. He knelt down to inspect it, pulling it away to reveal a small, hidden compartment. Inside was a stack of yellowed letters, tied together with a frayed ribbon. "What's this?" he asked, holding them up. His wife shrugged. "Probably just old junk. Throw it away." But as the days passed, the couple began to hear whispers. Soft, indistinct murmurs that seemed to come from the walls. And at night, they dreamed of a woman with hollow eyes and a mouth stretched into a silent scream. The house on Elmwood Lane was never empty for long. See you on the next video and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.